Forkast News is your gateway to all things blockchain. We do the deep dive and the due diligence on the blockchain projects and platforms that matter, because we aim to be the most reliable source of intellectual discourse and insight that inform, educate, and bridge the gap between the blockchain industry and the mainstream. Welcome to In Conversation with our very exclusive series that continues right here at Hong Kong FinTech Week 2019. And we are sitting across from David Rutter. He is CEO, founder of R3. And this is a, would you say a blockchain-based, but really a technology-based company that thinks about how emerging technology will be implemented in finance. Now, here's an interesting thing about your biography.
Can I just stop you right there?
Yes.
Enterprise software company that uses the power of distributed computing to solve business problems. Maybe that's the best way to elevator pitch.
And that's why he's the founder and CEO of R3. And I just sit across from you. But
sorry to interrupt.
No, absolutely. It really came from, you've been in the finance space for a very long time. I started my career in business journalism in 2008. On the floor of the Chicago Board of Exchange.
You weren't responsible for that big mess in 2008.
I was simply a bystander.
Okay.
Many of us were roadkill, unfortunately. Yeah. But we've kind of emerged, dusted ourselves off. A lot of people are saying, what have we learned? What are the lessons we've learned? Has anything actually improved? You've been in this space, you're seeing the technology, you're applying it in software solutions for enterprise, for finance. Are we getting closer to a solution?
Yeah, I think that, as I just mentioned in our panel, there's real solutions out there now. The technology is live in production, which hasn't been an easy journey for us, because it's a brand new technology. And the financial institutions, corporates, insurance companies, big banks, have pretty hardened IT infrastructures. So it's been difficult, but we have a solution. I don't have anyone ask me anymore, is this for real? Is it going to make a difference? I think that's a given, and we can move beyond that, and we can just focus on what problems is it going to solve. And I like to tell people, look, it's not going to fix your cavity, but it can do a lot, because some people think that blockchain technologies used broadly can do just about anything, but they can do a lot.
Why did you start R3? What was it that you saw that you needed to fulfill in the market?
So I appreciate you not saying exactly how long I've been in the finance world, but I have been at it for a long time and ran some electronic exchanges. So on the trading side, I was introducing electronic trading concepts for years and knew how difficult that was. I had left as CEO of iCap's e-business. I had a 1-year garden leave, which I recommend everyone have at some point in their career. And it was the same time that Bitcoin and then later like Ethereum were starting to take off. And the power of the cryptology, which allows us to solve problems at a business level without giving up crucial information. In other words, the privacy, which is at the core of everything we do at R3, was interesting to me, but the rest of it made no sense. And like in the early days, I took so much heat about being negative on Bitcoin and the like, but if we look at where it is today, it's not used in more retail, shops, you're not buying your coffee with it and the like. And I just don't pay attention to that at all. We're very focused on our mission here at R3.
And that mission is really kind of creating ripple effects in financial services, in financial transaction, in business enterprise space. This is a topic of huge interest here at Hong Kong FinTech Week, obviously, with some of the biggest banks in the world. They're all converging here. So what are these conversations like when they talk to you about, hey, how should I think about blockchain? How should I think about crypto? How should I think about exchanges?
That's a great question, and I like to answer it by reflecting on who we are talking to now. So 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we're in the innovation labs. We're in the experimental parts of the banks. Now I meet with the head of global trade that wants to talk about how can I use your platform to improve my trade finance? How can I use your platform to protect against fraud? How can I use your platform to help me with KYC issues and the like? So that's the big difference. And now that applications are live and you know, I mentioned we have over 200 applications that we know of because we have open source, so sometimes applications are being built on that we don't know of that are in the process of, you know, going live, and a couple dozen that are live now. And so it's so much easier for me. I just have to find, and I have senior levels at the bank, find the guy that runs trade, talk to him. Find the guy that runs capital markets, let them know what the Swiss exchange is doing. You know, find the folks on the compliance side, let them know how they can use this technology to just completely change the way they do business, and it's easier.
We just heard from Ashley Alder today, 1 year later, when he announced Sandbox for cryptocurrency exchanges and KYC and the like, and really thinking about it from a consumer point of view and how to protect the individual.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, 1 year later, and he is establishing some very clear rules as to how to regulate crypto exchanges, digital assets, etc. Do you think that is the move in the right direction? What more does not only Hong Kong need to do, but other jurisdictions in Asia?
Of course, I think it's the right move. Look, I don't love regulation. I don't love taxes. There's a lot of things I don't love that are absolutely necessary. And whether Hong Kong gets it right or not, if we're going to legitimize this world, which has been fraught with fraudulent ICOs that are bringing no value, and we really want to tokenize real assets, securities, natural gas contracts, gold, oil, diamonds, art, you know, all the things that you can think about, there needs to be a legitimate secondary market for that, where you as an individual or as a corporation can go and transact and know that it's appropriately regulated. So I applaud the step. I think that the regulators have been slow. There's regulators in other parts of the world that have to move a little quicker, have to be more specific. And over time, we'll have a global regime, and we'll really see the kind of tokenization, the token economy take off, in my opinion.
Well, there's a lot of discussion and controversy about the politicization of technology. Xi Jinping, October 24th, said blockchain is going to be one of the pillars of how economic growth is going to be experienced in China. That makes a lot of people nervous. Is that the right way to think about it? Where does technology lie in this space between nations, between economies, cross-border? Yeah.
So from my perspective, in the space, those kind of statements are music to my ears, of course, and I'm excited about that. And also, you know, the whole Libra announcement and the fact that Facebook has a whatever 250 million users, and what that means is really going to kind of accelerate thinking at central banks and regulators all around. I see that as a positive thing. I guess that as far as the geopolitical consequences of it, you know, China has their own approach to this now and their own view on where data needs to be stored. So that's going to be a bumpy road for global firms like ourselves. And China's massive, but they can't do things in isolation. So, you know, they're going to have to, I think the two big enterprise blockchain solutions are Fabric and Corda, and if China has some big thing, we got to figure out how to make these work together if we're going to have global finance.
What are the opportunities you see in Asia?
Well, I love Asia. I mean, there's a gentleman here, Duncan Wong from CryptoBlock, who has built so many cool applications. You know, if you insure your car in Hong Kong, he's built an application on top of Corda that you don't even know that you're using. He's built a trade finance application. He's at the center of Voltron. And that's just here in Hong Kong. We're doing really cool things. The HKMA announced today the project that we're doing with them and the Bank of Thailand. Thailand's been super aggressive and super progressive, I should say. And the Siam cement company is a big conglomerate that's embracing
Tell
blockchain.
us a little bit about that and how that came about.
So there's a subsidiary of the Siam Commercial Bank. It's hard for me to follow all these, you know, that built software for their customer, the Siam Cement Company, to help them completely automate their procurement process on Corda. And the executives have presented that they're achieving a 50% savings. There's less reconciliations, less errors, and things are getting paid much more quickly. So I think that we've had an evolution where I mentioned that Corda, we designed in a very specific way, and it wasn't mainstream for a while. But as we're getting into production, people realize, hey, this works. Privacy works, the scalability. The fact that if you and I are the only two that need to see data, why do I got to broadcast it to the 10,000 people here? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So those attributes are paying dividends for us, and it's spreading like wild. We have business in over 30 countries right now, and it's really cool. I can't believe I started. I got a little lucky, I guess.
I think we're both lucky. I think this is kind of a space and time where technology meets really winds of change. And where we go is anybody's guess. But I think there are those, and you're hearing it on Forkast News, and these conversations are pure examples of the innovators like yourselves, the creators and the builders of the future that is to come. So, David, thank you for sitting down across from me, and we'll see you again, no doubt.
Angie, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And if you like this video, all you have to do is, what do you do, David? You hit subscribe? Hit subscribe?
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay, Forkast.News. David, you're going to subscribe.
How do you know I haven't already? Okay, thank you.
We'll see you there.
All right. Enjoyed it.